Welcome to the Daily Addictions channel. Today I'm going to be talking about, yes, it's Snow White. I don't know. I have a feeling with a lot of the stuff that came out in the press. I'll admit I didn't read anything, but I did see blurbs or captions and things that were kind of going on as this movie was made. I normally stay away from stuff, but I wasn't planning on watching Snow White or doing a podcast on it. So I did have a slight inkling of certain behind the scenes going on, but I'll say it had nothing to do with the movie for me. I didn't see color, race, wokeness. I didn't see, my brain never registered any of that. I'll say Gal Gadot does a great job. You know, even the like side characters were good. I appreciated the performances. I wasn't really wowed by certain things I'll get to, but Rachel's, what is it, Zegler? Pretty good. As a matter of fact, she looked too much like Gal Gadot, but Gal Gadot's part was perfect. She's awesome in it. She's in it just enough. She plays the role awesome. I liked Rachel as Snow White. I even liked the difference between the seven dwarfs and the humans and the people in the world. So now knowing a little bit more in general, there was a big thing about them redoing it. Whatever they did was fine. Kids are gonna love this movie. I have a feeling they're not gonna notice anything. I even think adults would like it. So there's some praise for the movie. Now, is it an enjoyable movie for me? Maybe not in the sense, and I'll get to that as fast as possible in my ramblings. But I'll say again, Snow White is a good movie that is fun and cute in times. It has elements that I'm not a big fan of Snow White. I don't remember all the stuff. But I know, what is it, 1930s? The cartoon, and yeah, things were different. People were different. You know what? I really don't give a fuck. I don't. And maybe that's me as a shitty observer, or, I don't have social awareness. Fine. I don't give a fuck. I don't want to read the bullshit about the fucking movie before I watch it. I will tend to, from time to time, after I'm done, do a little bit more of a deep dive if it interests me. But this is Snow White. It's not, burning in me to get to the bottom of everything. All right, so the movie's directed by Mark Webb, who I really don't, know. I'll be honest. Although if I, hit the thing, it's like one of the Spider-Mans he did. Based on Snow White, and I know there were other remakes of Disney classics and they're making them live action. I'm all for that. Again, I'm not even on the economic side, I don't even see it as financial loss or gain, how much money you make. This is obviously targeted at kids. So even things like that, I don't really factor in until after the fact when I'm just curious about things. Besides the controversy, the shit that happened, I had seen some blurbs. Nothing affected me with the movie. I kind of love some of the performances. And the one that I hate and the aspect that I don't like that kind of made it, not enjoyable for me were two things. So we have Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler. Now the problem comes with Jonathan. Well, it comes a little bit before that, because for the first 20 minutes, I got to hear singing stuff. Now, there are parts in this movie where it works perfectly. Like, there's a thing with the Hobbit movies, the other trilogy. I love them. And there's like two songs in there, but the original Hobbit was based more like kids. They did it in a better way. I mean, even you can understand people not liking it, but because it's more of a modern theme, or a little darker. You can do it right, and I think this movie does it wrong for me. I, if you would have paced it out more and like switched it up, I would have loved it, because you would have had Rachel Zegler do a little song thing. You got to find out what's going on in the stories. That's how this is gonna work, and then cut to the dwarves or them singing and whatever. So the singing in the movie, the aspects of it, the narrative it gives weren't for me, and it didn't work for me. I think kids would love it, but it's just a quirk for me. And then, sorry for this actor, Andrew Burnap, this is where you go wrong for me. Not only does he get to fucking open his mouth and speak, you gotta have a fucking arc relationship, bullshit love, and then he gets it to sing later, sing talk or whatever the fuck it is. It nearly ruined the movie for me. There was a point where I was gonna shut the movie off, because again, I wasn't really gonna do a Snow White podcast type thing. There was no interest, but things in life, things happen. But I don't get the fucking ire for this movie at all. Now, if I had seen blurbs, too much singing, who's this fucking idiot actor playing Jonathan, his role sucks, I probably would have been like nodding my head watching it. But anything I heard about behind the scenes, which has nothing to do with the fucking movie, like Palestine and whatever the fuck, look, enough is enough with the fucking, stop killing these fucking people, whatever, I get it. But the dwarf thing was, I loved it. I actually loved how it was different from the seven dwarves, from the humans, and they actually have a little person in the movie. Is that the right proper term? Who the fuck knows? I might get canceled. There's no problems there for me. As a matter of fact, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Their facial animations, the difference, how they were like, it just worked in a magical cartoon world. Whoever made that decision and changed stuff, good on you. But I can't fucking take all the singing and this nonsense, bullshit love interest. You would have cut this out. And I'm not even saying cut it out. All right, so let's rephrase that. If you would have just condensed and modified the story, he should have been somebody who never opened his fucking mouth, who loved her from afar, who saved her life, like did things, but never vocally said it. Matter of fact, make him dopey, and he doesn't speak in joke. But he should have been left out of the fucking movie. Give Gal Gadot a little bit more to really, because she just could have been an iconic character role. To me, it is, because I love the way she plays it. You condensed this Jonathan fucking arc love interest. Just modify it a bit. Focus more on Gal Gadot's, interest in the daughter or stepdaughter in the Princess Snow White. If there's a social awareness, there was a merciful kingdom that gave to the poor. It was shared. The mom dies, marries the fucking fairest of them all, Gal Gadot's character, as the queen. And the husband dies, the father dies, supposedly. You don't really know, although you get something of a confirmation later. And evil queen rules, makes fucking Snow White do chores all the time. And the kingdom is fucking shit. There you go. So, oligarchy, whatever the fuck it is. Well, I guess now, monarchy, whatever the fuck. I don't care. I loved Gal Gadot in the movie. I even liked Rachel Zegler. I don't see any fucking problems with this, except you have a fucking stupid love interest. Now, I get it. Maybe it's just me. I don't know if little girls are fascinated with idiots. Because as soon as they introduced him, the way they introduced him, the setup, I was fucking rolling my eyes. I was like, no, please don't come back. All right, spoilers. There's a scene where they're running from the bad guys and evil Queen's army, whatever the fuck, and they aim a crossbow and shoot it at Snow White. He jumps in the middle. I wanted the fucking arrow to hit him in the forehead. Like, I wanted him to die right there. Another note that I had is, when you have a Snow White story that I'm enjoying without this idiot in the movie, when you get to the combat scenes, you should have made it more over the top or a little bit more serious. Like, you went to middle ground here and it didn't work for me. As a matter of fact, it almost let the air out, because before he takes the arrow for her, no spoiler, he and his fucking crew of bandits create a distraction for Snow White to get away. So they all get up and I think they go like, he says, "Don't shoot, I'll tell you where the queen, princess is." And everybody's like looking at him. As soon as, like, I guess he estimates Snow White got a little bit of distance, they charged the fucking army. Okay, these guys got swords. One's on a horse, I think. Now, either you go dark and you show these guys have real blades and they will really fucking hurt you, and the bandits are cutthroat, fucking trying to survive in a miserable world that this queen created, since the, fairy princess and her parents don't rule no more. You could have made a real statement there in a way for someone like me. Now, I get it, you don't want little girls and kids seeing like orcs get killed and blood oozing out. I get it. But, get a little bit more comical in a sense, but make it seem like there are real stakes in that sense. So, we have a kids, young adult movie, and parents are gonna want grand fucking parents maybe. It's just fucking cartoons from the 30s. I mean, my God, what a different world it was. And it's like a fucking fairy tale. So what is that? 1800s, if the wiki is correct. Like, this movie could have been a real fun hour and a half movie. And it I don't know if it is, I don't know what it is, but cut this fucking love interest out, modify it to, if you gotta have the love story, you gotta have the, the kiss or something, that she eats the apple. Like, I get it, but okay, so here's what I would have done. You want to see wokeness, and without even meaning to, I wanted Dopey to kiss her and wake her up. I didn't want this fucking guy in the movie at all, Jonathan. I'm sorry about the actor. Probably great fucking actor. But the part, the setup, the playthrough, the fucking bullshit, fucking singing nonsense. Oh, it's just fucking grated on my nerves. Now, if he was out of it and modified, focused a little bit more on Gal Gadot and the, just this determination and vileness, I would have loved it more, because again, it's not really an enjoyable movie for me, but I'm surprised at how much I enjoyed and thought it was cute and fun. You cut that out, you modify that, this would have been an hour and a half great movie. There's nothing I perceive wrong. Again, maybe that's just my ignorance, I'm just stupid, whatever. Same thing with like this fucking Disney Marvel movie bullshit. Fine, like, I don't know. With the fucking 80 years of television before, where fucking women sitting around going, "Oh, women aren't on TV and in movies," and wokeness, and like, so what? Like, I don't care about female this or that. If there's a fucking female portion, if there's a female movie, if it's, agendas are in the movie, like, it's part of the world. But we have YouTube, we have fucking idiots like me pointing it out. In any case, I don't think it hampers Snow White, a remake live action, which is the trend now, which is good. I'm happy in a way. I'm a little surprised that this movie isn't, to me, a fucking disaster. And so I didn't know much about it going in, but I did see blurbs as I'm doing I watch it, I do my thing, I drop my notes down, get ready for the wiki, whatever, the IMBD. I'll look into it a little bit more, and as I'm talking now, I see no fucking problem with this movie. People are fucking idiots, but look, I'm the one with 90 fucking subscribers, and whatever. I just don't care in that sense of appealing to anything, and not being true. If it was true and I was that person, fine. Like, it would come naturally to me, but I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna just fucking go into the nonsense. It's a fucking fun movie with a little bit of stupidness with the fucking boyfriend or bandit, love, friend, interest. That whole fucking thing with him first appearing and then, God, the dread that he's coming back and the dread that he's gonna open his mouth and the dread that he actually sings or tries to. Other than that, if you would have just bounced back and forth between Snow White, because the first 20 minutes, you got to set up everything, but it's just a little too much singing for me, and fucking everybody, the parents sing, and I get it, all right? I get it. I could see kids fucking sitting around dancing and having fun. Not for me. But on a more critical thing, condense, modify the love interest shit. Focus a little more on Gal Gadot's evil queen, because she stole the show, in my opinion. You know, I mean, yeah, I wanted her to pull out a lasso and a shield and a sword, just kick ass, because she's like the best Wonder Woman I think I've seen, but, well, let's not get crazy, right? So what do we got here? You got an idiot talking about a fucking cartoon remake, live action, adaptation, whatever the fuck. I think, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, they did like Cinderella, and who knows what they're doing with, all the other shit, Jungle Books and stuff. I think it's good. I think it's fun in that sense, but I have to pull myself out and go, this is not what I'm going to watch. But yeah, I would definitely watch this with kids or watch them be fascinated and fall in love with the characters. Sure, it's not a fucking disaster, where we're going to fucking, cancel people. Now, if people want to open their mouth afterwards, like, I get it, like, because that can impact things. And I guess for everybody, there's that threshold, there's that level, like, how much do you support? And I mean support, like, do you buy or you participate and you spread the word? One thing that comes to mind was, like, someone I talked to a couple of days ago was like Michael Jackson. What a fucking artist! What a just an amazing musician, talent. But it's mired in all that other shit. And where's that line drawn for people? Yeah, some people even balance it and go, okay, no, I love all this stuff. I'm not going out and buy the albums, but whatever. Anyway, so you got them talking about this Palestine, Jewish thing, which I think is a fucking disaster shit show, and USA should be fucking whatever. But I'm not going to sit here and, shit on people concerned about their land or their country, their people, their tribe, when they were fucking nearly annihilated from the earth. Like, there's a point where you have some understanding now. I get it. If I had people in that movement, so to speak, I would totally support them. I get it. You want to keep your people safe, whatever, but you don't want to fucking bomb people that you made miserable slaves and, have the turntables, all that bullshit. So I think the whole thing's a shit show that should be corrected, yes. And if you want to speak out about that and be part of the actors stuff, fine. I don't think any of that should ever affect a movie and its box office or whatever, but it probably is going to. So in that case, we got, I'm going to guess, a subpar box office thing. Like, again, I take notes, but I'm fucking stoned most of the time, and whatever. I should give credit to, the voices of the dwarfs. I think that was done great. I don't think the dwarfs went on a circuit and were, talking about little people and tossing dwarves and doing the quotes thing, so I'm safe. Air quotes. I don't see a problem with that. Let's get a fucking committee, maybe, and, Minority Report. Get some fucking create some brains in a vat and let's just fix everybody. You fucking will have like a control center, like a Star Trek episode. But what are you gonna do? I don't. Again, didn't know much about the movie. Wasn't really gonna be on my radar to watch. And is, you know, I mean, there's a way to the plot, but like I said, once the kid comes in, Jonathan, I'm lost because the singing was getting to me, but I was understanding it. You know, it's a fucking cartoon thing, and you're gonna tell everybody what's going on, what's the problems, and as the plot goes from the beginning, it's a wonderful land, even if you're poor. And it's later said, because that's the princess's real power, is that she knows everybody and she can connect with them. If you didn't have money, they still fed you. You know, you had a home and a shelter, even if you weren't doing great. But when the wife dies, he marries the evil queen. He's shoved out the door real fucking quick because he goes on like on a mission and he's never seen from again. And then they spend, like I said, the first 20 minutes. So this little kid, a kid actor, playing Snow White as a kid with the parents, and they're fucking singing, talking to her and that stuff. And again, my brain was going, look, this is not for me, but like I would sit here and be in such joy with a bunch of, you know, kids and watching it, and this is Snow White. I have no problem with it. But once the evil queen takes over, and, you know, they do this cut and she's grown up, she's just a fucking, basically a slave. And there's no real, like, you know, I'm not waiting for the book librarian to become a barbarian warrior, like an arc like that. Although it would have been fucking awesome if she would have grabbed that dagger and fucking plunged it into Gal Gadot's chest. Or tried to. But you got the bandits, you know, they're out in the woods and they fight for the true king. And Snow White's trying to find her place and she's singing about her fucking wish thing. Again, it's just not maybe for me, but I could see where it's an enjoyable, fun, cute movie. And then she meets this fucking bandit. He's fucking going to be in prison. But I do love the interactions with Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. If they did have problems and they brought it to the movie, they did it in a professional way. And I think I saw one of the press things. Gal Gadot's a fucking becoming a master. Either she's very quiet and smart about what she says, and maybe it's Ziegler who is more out in front and maybe, like, you know, a little stupid in how she phrases things and says things. But their acting was great, and then the princess is getting ready to fucking come of age and become independent, and the fucking queen decides to kill her. You know, hey, and I kind of like the the huntsman's like brings her out in the woods to pick apples or whatever, and he's gonna kill her, but he can't. I mean. And it calls back later to where she confronts the Queen's Guard, and she's like, Paul, Bob, you're a baker, whatever. And, you know, they're living in a shit, merciless fucking kingdom now, and the Queen's got all the riches. And by the way, who's getting all those fucking rubies, diamonds, and shit that the dwarves are? Heaps. Is there a dragon in this fucking movie that I didn't see? Because if the evil queen has that shit, all that fucking stuff, if it goes to her, this movie's over. Like, there's heaps and and they got powers. Like, their hands glow, the dwarves, and they fucking put their hands on the rocks and the veins of ore, whatever the fuck they do. I mean, wheelbarrows full of this stuff, diamonds, whatever. So I'm surprised the kingdom wasn't like, they didn't have 3 planets and spaceships already. I know that money doesn't really fuel the technology, but you get what I'm saying. Like, there's a profound wealth of these dwarves are insane. But I really didn't connect that there were wagon loads every fucking day but it's, the cartoon. But she's got to meet this fucking stupid bandit again, and they imprison him. Oh, but luckily, because the huntsman didn't kill Snow White, he's in prison also at some point, and he helps Jonathan break free. But Evil Queen made. Okay, so there's a fucking part in this movie where it's really fun when she meets the dwarves. I'm skipping shit. But, again, if you modified this boyfriend bullshit storyline, I would have really had fun with it. Because as she's getting to get killed and the huntsman or whoever says, run, run, she's on her own in this strange world, falling, blah, creatures, scary forest. And she winds up in the dwarves' place, and I think she's sleeping in Sleepy's bed. I don't know, but they're all scared, and Dopey gets locked in a room. I thought it was cute. I had fun. I love the difference between these dwarves, but she's got to come of her own. She's got to be more independent, but it doesn't really feel like a major arc in that sense. I think what they were going for is love, that love shit, but. So in her escapades, meeting the dwarves, and they gotta give her to the bandits. They meet the bandits. She gotta find out if her father's alive, and she's in the forest. And then the people come after her. The queen says, "Fuck this! I'm gonna imitate an old woman or look like an old woman. Give her an apple." And the story kind of fits because she's like, "Oh, your father used to give us apples," and it was something I think. So she takes a bite out of it. She's in a coma. Whatever the fuck, all the dwarves are crying. It was awesome. But then this fucking idiot has to come because he gets frees himself in the prison. Cut this, that. He's there. She's laying on the thing, gives her a kiss. Spoilers. It fucking wakes her up. Like, whoa. Yeah, I know. So, we've got this somewhat of a climax of a movie coming. And here's another shortcoming of the movie. I know you have to have Snow White at the forefront, and they did. So she comes back to her kingdom, red cloak, takes it off. People start singing, and the people are behind her. I get it. Fine. But where was the dwarf attack or ingenuity or impact in this climax? Because there definitely should have been one. More spoilers. There's a point in this movie. Okay, so Dopey doesn't speak. He's like the youngest one of them. He doesn't speak, whatever, but she teaches him how to whistle, and he whistles, whistle while you work. Again, most of this stuff is cute, fun, not a disaster. But Dopey, in a fucking epic moment in the movie, speaks for the first time, and he says something to the effect of, "We're not scared anymore. Let her try. We're not scared anymore." And it's a fucking real moment in the movie because Dopey has the best arc in this movie. He speaks up, and the dwarves are like, "Yeah," but when she goes back, the dwarves aren't there until the happy ending. Like, where were they, like, riding kites or birds or fucking flying them in? Like, I don't know. I wanted a real epic moment because there's a real confrontation going to happen. But it's not, because as the people, her people, the town, the kingdom, are behind Snow White moves forward to meet the queen, but there were guards with people's swords, armor. They're there. Like, the only time anything happened, I guess I'm giving a spoiler here, but the queen tries to impact the people and sway them. She tells them about, it's another callback to Diamonds and a Flower, but she creates a dagger out of nothing, like a magic, and she gives it to Snow White. And I thought it was a cool scene. Again, Snow White should have just plunged it into her chest. But she gets ready, but she can't do it. The queen's had enough of this shit. And as she goes to kill Snow White, I think we were supposed to cheer because the crossbowman shoots the fucking dagger out of her hand. And I thought it like, I get it. I know he was a character in it. I know he claimed to be the bowman guy. But the dwarves needed their moment there. I'm sorry. There should have been something where Snow White was in, her life was in danger in another aspect, whatever it is, and the dwarves had to use their ingenuity, courage. I don't know, have one sleep on them, have one sneeze on them, have one be grumpy on them. You get what I'm saying? Something. And that kind of wraps up the movie where Snow White confronts her. The people aren't behind her. Then the guards go to kill her. And she's like, Paul, Bob, Mary, are you a baker? You whatever, whatever. And you're like, yes, I remember. And so the queen's got nobody. The queen runs to her magic mirror. Blah, blah, blah. It's actually a cool visual scene here when the mirror breaks and stuff and the queen disintegrates. But I didn't feel like it earned a huge, epic ending, which it should have deserved. You're going to make an adaptation. You're going to, doing the quote thing is modernize it or, bring it up to date. I think you had to have a little more agency here, a little more of a definitive arc for Snow White. But I get it. Again, if I'm sitting with kids, if they're smiling and having fun, I'm going to enjoy this movie. And I think that's the honest, real description of this movie for me. I'm not watching this again. I have no interest in Snow White or the fairy tale in that sense. I'm waiting for, the Thundercats for 50 fucking years, whatever. But there is a beauty, a fun cuteness to this movie. The performances I actually found enjoyable, except for that fucking bandit, fucking Jonathan guy. That whole thing, again, not for me, and maybe little kids, little girls and boys, mid-teens, 90-year-olds, because maybe you're 200 years old and you read the fairy tale in 1850, whatever the fuck. There's something cute and fun about this movie that I'm not going to deny. I just wish it was pieced together better in a sense, with a little more focus. Again, yes, you're going to need the sleep thing and the kiss. I think it could have been done way better. I don't think it had an epic enough ending, although I think on Gal Gadot's part, hands down, great performance in that sense, but there's not enough of it. And when it is there, it's awesome for me. But imagine if it was a little more focused, given a little more, cut out the fucking Jonathan bullshit, but still keep it there if you need it there. But I would have made it more of a quiet, whatever kind of love where it's just a distance thing, and cut out that fucking song together and that nonsense of liking and not liking type thing. But in the end, Snow White gets her kingdom back. And it was interesting, somewhat interesting when you see the impact of, Snow White as a little kid, and she's singing everywhere, and her parents talk to her, and the whole town, everything is wonderful. And then when she's older and she comes back after the queen makes everybody fucking miserable, and she's like, got all the jewelry. I think she's like trying to have a talk with Snow White. She's breaking crab legs and stuff, which I thought was fucking hilarious, and it worked for the scene. When she comes back and everybody starts singing again, I get it. You see that kind of arc, but is it the people's arc? Is it the kingdom? And maybe that's even more profound. Like, I don't know. But looking a little more into the movie, I'm surprised. I think whoever did the dwarf stuff was fucking spot on. the way they're different, and it does make it more magical. It does make them feel, the movie feel more cartoon and more to its roots for me. It's just the way it is. I don't know. Maybe if the Thundercats, are they gonna do Snarf? And, and eventually, I think there was like two little Snarfs or young kids. Well, I don't know. But I'm not coming away from this with a rant of a disaster. Yes, I do have issues. A little too much singing in the beginning, the first 20 minutes. Her story unfolding. I think it should have been broken up more. But if you're going to do it, a little less of singing. The dwarves, the singing, going back and forth, I thought was great in that sense. Again, it's not my type of movie, but I would thoroughly enjoy myself with a family watching the movie, watching new kids, new generation. Would I have a problem with them falling in love with this movie? No. Now, maybe it just hasn't hit that threshold with me like I was talking about, where people behind the scenes or their real life are just shit. But as it stands, I gotta give props to the Mark Webb and Erin Cassandra Wilson for the fucking Cressida, for the story, the screenplay. Again, yes, I would have done things different. It's not, sit home, smoke a blunt, smoke my bowl, or chocolate fucking mushroom bar, whatever the fuck it is. I'm not, set up and ready and caring to watch this for the most part. But having done so, Snow White to me seems like an enjoyable, flawed movie, but definitely captivating for kids and young people. I think the message, although muddled, will come through. And I think that's the point. I don't think this is a bad thing. I mean, yeah, I guess if I'm sitting on a board and we spent $300 million and we only recouped $240, let's get some lunch boxes out and T-shirts maybe. Okay, I don't know in that greatest sense. Do I feel it'll be a cult classic type thing? Maybe. I don't know. But I don't think this is anywhere near disaster, failure, bullshit, unless people can, I do understand there are, there's logic behind box office. Like, you want to make movies and you want them to perform, right? I get it. So I'm not going to argue with somebody it just is a flop or a failure in that sense. But I do say from time to time, I don't think people look to make a bad movie. I don't think Disney are all evil fucks. Yes, they have idiots in certain positions. I think Kathleen Kennedy's out now, or on her way out. I'm doing my quotes, to Disney, Star Wars, that fucking garbage mess of a fucking sequel. Oh, God, how awful are they? Those last two Star Wars movies are so awful. It makes The Force Awakens, the first of those sequels, really bad now. And I know that might be a stupid thing to say, but it's true. Because I gave The Force Awakens a pass. I thought, okay, whatever. But when you compound on that, it just makes it such a horrible... it's the worst thing ever. All right. But this is Snow White. This is the cartoon fairy tale come to life. I thought it was done well. I think it has some merit and some cuteness and fun here and there. I don't think it's a disaster. I'd say watch it, especially if there's kids and stuff. I think they're going to be captivated, enjoy it for what it is. Again, kudos to Gail Gadot and even Rachel Zegler. Fuck that Jonathan character, I'm sorry. And I love the dwarves, the way they made them look. The impact should have been a little bit more, at the end. But there you go. Snow White. Rush to theaters and watch it. I don't know. Kids are going to love it, I think. Anyway, I think that'll be it. Hope everybody's doing well. My best to you and yours. Take care.